We found out we were pregnant right when we moved to Roanoke. We were so excited, little nervous, little surprised, but really, really excited. We were so ready to start our family. Shortly after my first trimester, my blood pressure started to tick up. They kind of chalked up my hypertension to a little bit of white coat syndrome, just general anxiety about being pregnant. My first baby, didn't really know what to expect, but they did go ahead and diagnose me with pregnancy-induced hypertension. So because of that, and because of my borderline blood pressures throughout my pregnancy, my doctor did recommend that I induce before 40 weeks. So I did. I was induced at 39 weeks and 5 days. Other than being a really long 36-hour labor, I had a pretty textbook induction, and Lucille Jolene Garcia was born on September 28, 2019 at 8:11 p.m. primetime Saturday night with a full head of hair, screaming at the top of her lungs. She was so healthy, and we were so happy. We were so relieved she was finally here, and we were getting to hold her in our arms. So after about 48 hours, we were allowed to go home, and we were so excited to finally be home. I remember waking up the next day and just being really ready to just get in my own shower and shower in my own bathroom. And I was really, really excited for that. While I was showering and while I was drying myself off, I started to feel really winded. I kind of just chalked it up to being tired and just having a baby. As the rest of that day went on, though, I started to feel really just off. I felt really anxious. We were just kind of trying to figure out this new baby thing. Later that night, on that first full day home, I got up from the couch and I felt the weirdest sensation that I've ever felt. I felt like all of the blood from my head rushed down to my toes. It was super weird. I've never felt anything like that before. And I called out to my husband. I said, "Chris, come here, call 911. Something's wrong. I don't feel right." EMS arrived. I was having trouble breathing, but I was okay. We were trying to figure out Lucy and holding her while EMS was checking me out. They took all my vital signs. My blood pressure was elevated, again, in that elevated range, 140 over 90, 150 over 90, but nothing that screamed, "Get to the hospital." After EMS left, it was pretty late. I remember waking up and taking a breath and feeling, popcorn in my chest. Just taking in a breath and feeling like bubbles popping in my chest. And that felt really strange. And I felt like something is wrong. I was getting really anxious. I was having a really hard time breathing. I felt really short of breath. And I said to Chris, I got to go to the ER. Something is wrong. I got to go to the ER. And then, we decided to pack up a 3-day-old baby and go to the ER. They took me back and they took my blood pressure, and I was shocked. I was totally shocked. I, to this day, can't tell you what the number was, but I remember that top number was over 200. I remember that bottom number was well over 100. It was in a very, very scary range. And at that point, things started to move really fast. They immediately slapped oxygen on me because my oxygenation was in the low 80s, which is very, very low. They took me back from triage, took me back into a room and immediately started evaluating me. They took me back to have a CT done, and it was pretty scary. So the doctor came back and spoke to me and listed out a whole lot of things that could be wrong. She started talking about a lot of things like, this could be heart failure, this could be this could be that. We don't really know, but we want to put you in the ICU because in the event you need to be intubated, we want to give you the best chance to survive. Got up to the ICU. And they started me on a lot of medication to try to normalize my blood pressure and get a lot of the fluids out of my system. And the OB team came in, including the doctor that delivered Lucy. And I just started to cry. I just started to break down. And I said, what's happening to me? What's wrong with me? And, I talked about all the things that the ER doctor had told me, and they said, this is classic preeclampsia. This is classic postpartum preeclampsia. The ER doctor also told me that I had pulmonary edema in both lungs, which is when your lungs start to fill with fluid, and it's a complication that happens when your blood pressure gets really, really high. Your whole pregnancy, you build up this moment of giving birth, because especially if it's your first pregnancy, you don't really know what to expect. You hear all the horror stories about what could go wrong during birth. So, you take all the classes and you really prep yourself for giving birth, and, you have this moment, the baby's here, and you're finally like, okay, whew, glad that's done. And immediately the attention goes right to the baby, because, they're so helpless. And, sometimes I think moms feel lost in the shuffle, and they get really lost in the shuffle because, moms immediately, from the moment that baby comes out, start putting themselves last. But that's why postpartum preeclampsia and postpartum issues are so dangerous, because moms will play off things that are happening to them because their focus is on the baby, and that's why postpartum complications can be really, really dangerous and even fatal. Luckily, I was able to go on blood pressure medicine in the hospital, and I was stabilized, and after about 36 hours in the ICU, I was able to move out of the ICU and be put into a regular mother-baby room and be reunited with Chris and my baby girl. After, getting my blood pressure medicines figured out, I was able to go home on blood pressure medicine with the instructions just to keep monitoring my blood pressure and keep an eye on it, and to come back if I started to feel any worse. And I went home, and luckily I haven't had any long-term health issues after having my daughter and after having this happen to me. I was able to come off of blood pressure medicine after about 4 months. My blood pressure came down to normal. I was able to come off of that, which I'm very, very thankful for. And physically I've been able to really move on like normal. Mentally though, it has been a journey. I had Lucy, and had this trauma happen to me, and the anxieties and the pressures of being a new mom, and on top of, just going through all of this, were really, really hard. And, throw in a global pandemic, and I was really struggling for a long time. And that's when I sought help from a therapist and a mental health professional. And it was the best thing I did for myself. When I think about everything that happened to me, I think about all of the privileges that I had working in my favor that ultimately led to my life being saved. And, a big part of it was having a supportive partner, having someone next to me. I wasn't alone when I was feeling the way that I was feeling. Having a partner be able to help me pack up a 3-day-old baby and go to the hospital and take me there. I think about if I was by myself, would I have gone? I live 5 minutes from a level 1 trauma center. I have health insurance, and I had health insurance at the time, so I didn't have to worry about another expense after just having a baby, worrying about going back to the hospital and having that weight on me. That was a huge privilege. I had access to prenatal care my entire pregnancy, which a lot of women don't, or are not able to prioritize for other reasons. My race was a huge privilege, walking in as a white woman to the hospital. I think that it's really, really, scary that women of color die at a rate of 3 times higher for issues of things that happened to me, like preeclampsia. And you know, it was a huge privilege of mine. After all of this happened to me, I had the privilege of having an access to an employer-funded IEP program, which helped me connect with a therapist and helped me really work through a lot of the issues that I had mentally afterwards. Having all of these privileges working in my favor, if you change any one of those things, I might not be here today. I might not be here to talk to you and tell you this story, and my daughter might not have a mother. I just want, you know, more women to know the risk of these things postpartum and know that if they're feeling a way, to continue to put themselves first and seek help, seek medical attention, because it could save your life. It saved mine. I'm just so proud to be working for the American Heart Association at this time in my life, and after having gone through what I went through. I'm so proud to be working for an organization that is putting maternal health at the forefront of what they do in terms of the Go Red for Women campaign. And I'm so proud to be working on this campaign and educating more women in my community on this issue and on all women's cardiovascular health issues. I feel really honored, and it's almost like fate that I'm getting to work for the AHA at this point in my life after having to go through what I went through. And I'm just really, really proud to work for them. It's very scary that the #1 killer of new moms are cardiovascular complications, because losing one mom is too many, especially when most of these cardiovascular deaths can be prevented with access to healthcare, access to education, systemic changes that prevent people from seeking healthcare, systemic changes that prevent people from getting the best care possible. I hope that I can play a small part in helping another woman, another mother, another family live their life to the fullest. I'm just so proud to be a part of this campaign and to be working for it.